It is everybody's favorite Devil Ram type, hitting hard even from the early days of Medarot 1. It is DVL00 Blackmail, with a kit of triple Ghost, biped legs, and the Bloodstain leg ability, which buffs base power for every part the user destroys on their turn. Now when it comes to high-end base power, especially Metaforce reliant nuking, you really can't get much better than Blackmail when it comes to getting up close and personal. Ghost is a melee-based skill that draws bonus damage relative to the user's charge gauge, and in addition to this bonus damage, also ignores defense when attacking. Of course, at the weakness and drawback that you are unable to dodge or defend until you finish your cooldown. Now honestly, having all three parts as Ghost really doesn't tie into the redundancy argument of Blackmail all that much, given that since he has the same skill, if say an arm gets broken, he can still use his head or his other arm moderately well without anything getting in the way. And the Bloodstain ability ties into this very, very nice, with even more so of a damage increase upon breaking parts, with Ghost's already high base damage pool across the board. Now to make up for this, Blackmail honestly is kind of slugging along behind when it comes to mobility and heat and cool as one of his biggest weaknesses. That being said, if you are going to use Ghost, it is going to be best recommended that you either cover for him, since he will be notably slower than most other bots, or you can find a way to stun the opponent or find a way to defend him while he builds up over time. One of the biggest weaknesses to Ghost, however, and with his kit, is the fact that he is very, very largely Metaforce reliant in this regard, and he has no real Metaforce sustain innately by himself to capitalize on this. That being said, for this reason, I do honestly have to rate Blackmail as a pure set score a pretty solid 5 out of 10. Not to say that he's bad or by himself as a pure set is completely worthless or useless or not using, it's just that he has a lot of requirements that he himself cannot very easily make without having something else to kind of compensate that or an ally to bolster him with it. Some ways you can fix this, for instance, would include, say, a Hunter or Sniper nature medal, because you already have a very high base damage with Ghost as it is. As long as you can start breaking parts, you can kind of fill your own Metaforce gauge over time with this and kind of pack on extra damage as time goes on, in addition to the Bloodstain ability triggering every time you break a part as a plus. As mixed parts, on the other hand, I have to rate him much higher at a 7 out of 10, and some arguments could even be made for 7.5 or 8, because of how useful Ghost is on a lot of high-end melee nuking roles, especially Metaforce-reliant ones. And that being said, even if his arms are considered heavy, this really isn't something you'd have to worry about too heavily, given, say, if you pair it off with full charge and then a conventional melee skill like sword or even basic hammer in some cases. You can honestly round out your melee nuker a lot easier, especially as a Metaforce sustained one, so that you can alternate between a high-end nuking skill and a more conventional skill to balance when, say, using Ghost is not the most best recommended course of action on the field.